We'll go ahead and call to order the City of Livingston Historic Preservation Commission meeting for August 16th, 2022. This is a special meeting. We'll start with the approval of minutes. I reviewed the minutes, but I was not here. So
you can't say.
I can't say, but is there any...
I make a motion that we approve them.
Sure.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Sure.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed the same. Motion passes. Next order of business is public comment. We have
one member of the public here. You want to comment?
Yeah, I'd like a Diet Pepsi.
No, I want to see the building they're building across the street from us.
Not yet.
Next to the bed and breakfast?
Not yet.
Oh, where are you?
Clifton Calendar.
Oh, so you're wondering what...
There's no plans to build on the vacant lot, so.
Actually, that's not 100% true.
on the half lot, the one between the corner house and the bed and breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Spencer Graham owns all that property. He's a winemaker from... You ever had Elizabeth Spencer wine?
I have not.
It's really good. You can go buy it at Debbie's for about $60. And yeah, no, they're thinking about filling that in.
Did he own the corner lot as well?
Yeah, he built that corner
He
house.
built, they're in that house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back
They're
there.
in it. Okay.
It's a vacation house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Okay.
But they just sold their winery.
Well, did
We know that. Yeah, we know them pretty well. And there's a bunch of Napa people floating around here, and they're all interesting. And it's interesting how they're escaping from there to here.
Right.
But anyway, it's hard to say what he's going to do. But, like they just sold their company, so they probably have a buyout. Probably have a tail out. And I'll know more next week.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay. Anyway, that's FYI.
Okay.
So it might be something.
So no public comment. We'll move into design review. The item we have on here is for the Thompson Building, 101 North Main. Jeff had sent an email, and I assume everyone had seen that. I was not at the last meeting, so I unfortunately missed that conversation. I'm very interested in what was kind of said and the direction. So
Can I try to sum it up?
Absolutely.
Okay. He was originally looking at two options for doing that. He looked at either painting it or putting a thin brick veneer over the whole thing. Painting it involves lead paint removal. Which is expensive, but so is
New brick veneer, right?
a new brick veneer. Basically, either one of them is going to cost him in the $300,000+ range. Whether that's worth it to anybody is sort of, that's his deal. I brought up a concern. I think I've just never seen a veneer come off. I mean, you're either doing flat veneer or a corner brick. So, and if there's any substantial level of detail, I think it just kind of doesn't work. Said so.
Okay.
And I think it comes to roost in a couple of places. There's sort of a detailed arch on the calendar side, and then the Main Street frontage. The more you look at the Main Street frontage, the more detailed it is. And the calendar side has sort of one archway that has some detail in it. It's got, and then obviously big field bricks, and you could undoubtedly make that successful, but that's not what we're talking about. So I think we voted to deny we sort of did that on the street. Was that an official vote, Chad?
There was an official vote to deny the brick veneer.
And he came back with an idea that he would do and he's not here, and I think we should probably wait for him to be in the room before we take this
Well,
on.
this is his email.
Yeah, we can read the email that he sent. So yeah, the minutes said that we denied the brick veneer, and then his email, and Jack, I'll go ahead and read it if that's okay. But this one says during our meeting. This is from Jeff. I'll read the whole thing. Hi Jim, as you may know, the committee had a split vote against our proposal. Jack suggested I talk to Shelley Chappell, owner of Bob's Outdoor, who he said had lead paint and was able to strip and paint it. We reached out to Shelley and she said my building was tested for lead and was negative, and actually it was just repainted over the previous paint color. During our meeting with the committee on Main Street, Tom Bluerock mentioned that he was less concerned about using facade real brick on the Calendar Street wall than the front wall. What we would like to know is, one, would the committee consider a proposal where we stripped and painted the front face on Main, which would decrease the amount of closure time for our tenants, but still allow us to use the facade on Calendar, parentheses, using a metal flashing style that they approve where the two joints meet to cover the seam? And then item 2, if no to item number 1, would they consider stucco on the building, like Tom did on his building face? We are trying to come up with a solution that doesn't result in full-scale remediation that is going to cost more and shut down the businesses for 3 to 4 months. Please pass this along to the committee. So his request is stripped and painted the front face, and then still allowed to use the facade brick, the thin brick.
He was, and this is all obviously exterior work. Just thinking about it, I'm finding it really hard to, and one of the things that he was most concerned about was shutting down the businesses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I don't know why you couldn't seal those spaces. I mean, it's lead paint. It's not asbestos.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not totally familiar with how that's done. But if they're worried about dust or breathing asbestos or lead paint dust, I don't know why you couldn't seal those spaces off from the inside.
Yeah, that I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on the type of red.
I'm sure you can practically, whether DEQ will allow it to remain occupied. Is
Right.
Who regulates this?
Department of Environmental Quality, same as asbestos.
Okay, will they inspect? Well, how does that? How does that?
Most of that is you have to have
a qualified
person certify all the work.
Okay.
And they usually only inspect if there's complaints or a violation.
Okay. Yeah. So they have a list of, like if it's asbestos, you hire Nick Curry in this town.
Yeah.
And then somebody to test it at the end, whether, I don't know if Nick can do
No,
it.
he can't
So
certify. He's got to
someone else certifies
get
it.
somebody to come.
Yeah. Well, he sends it to a lab, but then he basically does the initial survey that tells you if there's asbestos present.
Right. That's
Right.
lab work too. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, stucco would be worse, or any veneer that you put on a detailed facade is going to just soften it and rough it up. It's
And that's how I feel with the initial proposal, and not hearing Jeff talk. From a professional standpoint, I would always recommend against putting any kind of veneer over an historic brick. Even if you find a brick that's similar, you're still not going to get the character and
you're going to lose a lot.
Right.
Jim, do you know Oh, pardon me. Jim, do you know why, or was the bar and grill, were they allowed, or did they just do that veneer without going through the right committees?
Definitely came through this group.
It did.
Obviously, I don't think any one of you were here at the time.
Because I wonder what the regulations are clear back to Washington D.C. and their, the federal guidelines
I
we
can
have.
summarize it, and then
Okay.
these two can tell me if I get something wrong, because Ron's pretty familiar with it, I know. Generally, replication with new material is frowned upon unless it's absolutely necessary. And in a lot of cases, the changing the facade to a completely different material or a different look is actually preferred if it doesn't damage what's underneath. Hence the stucco on some of these buildings, the different types of siding veneers that someday can come off.
Right. And that's correct to a point, right? If there's no other option,
They don't want fake history.
They don't want fake history.
Basically, is
Right.
what it comes down to.
right?
Yeah.
And the story needs to be told,
There's plenty of that around.
right?
Yeah, too much has happened.
One of my big concerns with that facade brick was, when I talked to, I think it was Kevin that was here with Jeff.
Yeah.
He was the guy that was going to do the work, and I said,
He's just
how
a
do you
general-
make that stick on that flaking paint? He says, well, we nail a screen on there like you would if you were going to stucco.
Yeah.
Well, if you do that, how you going to replicate that little checkerboard or honeycomb or whatever above the arch? You can't do that.
That basket weave.
If you do a flat field,
Sure.
just running bond,
Sure.
that's, it's when you get into those detailed areas.
Right.
You're gonna, and there's those bricks are like 3/8 to a half an inch thick,
Mhm.
and you're probably going to add another eighth to 3/8. So you're talking about a fairly substantial difference in thickness.
Sure.
And that's just not gonna work on detail.
But that man did say it could be done, didn't he?
Well, it can be done.
Yeah.
How it comes out is another story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see brick on brick working, but then I pictured the top and I thought, well, how's that going to work out? They'd have to fill it in with some sort of filler and smooth it off.
I just think that thickness is going to make a huge difference in the way that they look.
It will. I feel bad. I just wish
I'm
it
against
painted
either option,
over.
I guess, still.
What?
I said I'm against either option they gave us today. I certainly wouldn't want to see the building stuccoed.
Yeah, that would be my last.
I only did that because
approval.
my brick was in such bad shape since he did that you really couldn't restore it. And you'd have to go try to match brick and stuff, and it would just be, it wouldn't look good.
Right.
And that was without sandblasting or anything. You just took everything off down to Estep's shoe store and saddlery, and the brick was in that bad a shape.
Well, also I changed some of. Basically, I put a false ceiling in there to run mechanical electrical, which didn't happen in Estep's time.
Okay.
And so those the storefront openings were a little bit shorter than they were originally.
Okay, I understand. Yeah. Okay.
And I think the proportions still were, but it was, I was trying to, but like when you say you can match something and put it up against something else,
And there's a
usually
thickness
doesn't work.
involved. Yeah.
A really good example of that, there's a house on Calendar just east of Third Street, where it's a brick house, and they tried to add some space onto it, and you could just absolutely see what's old and what's new, and it just kind of looks like you're mixing two things. If you're going to miss slightly, miss mildly.
Oh, that was a church originally. Yeah, I know which house. My friends live there.
Yeah, now it's a house.
Jack and Mary Beth
Sold for a
Longvine.
fancy price, as I remember.
It's a tough deal.
Yeah, it's such a prominent corner, and it's so much building along that calendar side that's where I struggle. And I agree with you 100%. There's it's going to be almost impossible to match that brick and make it not look like it was built in 2022. And even with an old look thin veneer brick, it's not going to have the character
It's
that
gonna
that
still
there's.
add, it's gonna still add almost 3/4 of an inch to that. To
So-
the, yeah.
So there's the National Park Service has a whole technical service note on removal of lead paint on historic buildings.
Ron, is there such a thing as just sanding off the places where it's
Well, there's
flaking and just leaving it on there and then painting?
So that was a question that I had in my mind is
Good,
because there's
okay.
options. There's the blasting removal, which creates the dust, and that's what damages the
Strips
brick
it
as
all
well,
down.
which is not recommended by the Park Service. There's chemical removal. There's also the I forget what it's called. It's the sheet, the applied sheets that chemically react to it, and then you peel the sheets off, and a majority of that paint comes off on the sticky back sheet, almost like a sheet of, they're sheets of.
Really?
I think that's what they did on the house across from you.
That's what they did on the house across from me, right?
Do you know people that do that?
I don't have not offhand, but there's
gotta
it's
be.
out there, right?
I mean, he talked to one person in Bozeman. I don't think he ought to shop it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of those other things, it looked like sand. And again, you have this sort of idea of I want a brick building. Well, and you're not going to get one. You're really just, after a certain point, you're really just, unless it's sort of untouched brick, you're really just not going to get it. And to try it can make it worse than it was, which is what we're saying.
Right. Yeah.
And
It's a tough deal, but weren't some of our downtown businesses wooden fronts, wooden siding?
well,
I think they were some of our bars and things, I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, what are you suggesting? Wood siding? on
No, yeah, I don't
No,
know,
I mean,
it's too
anything-
bad.
it? At that point, you could, you're just changing it. Now,
But remind me, is there such a thing as taking what's there and it's flaking really bad and just sanding that down without removing the paint
Yeah.
and doing what they did at Bob's Outdoor, just painting
except
over
they
everything?
didn't have lead paint.
Yeah, but Bob's Outdoor, I can remember they encapsulated the front of that building when they did that.
I think that was just for dust.
It could have been. Obviously, they had some flake and paint.
Sure.
Obviously, the health department wouldn't be too keen on pedestrians walking through whatever dust.
But if you're not going to strip off the paint like Bob's Outdoor, just paint it over the color that was there, you don't need to.
But you're still going to treat the surface before you paint it. Just
Well,
so
yeah,
that-
there's a
so-
product and it's called liquid sandpaper. I've used it.
Well, look, there's a lot of things you can do.
Was there any
Yeah.
product that you have ever heard of that is a sealant?
That's yes, but
Paint will adhere to.
so schoolwork.
Kills? You mean Kills? K-I-L-Z.
We were
Well,
usually
I'm thinking
building
something that
new,
would be
and they weren't that old.
Yeah, I've
encapsulating
done
the lead
some
paint.
older stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
The
that was
EPA's
in California,
standards.
so.
Yeah.
I wonder, that's a good
we
point.
never really-
Kills
we
might
never
do
really
that.
ran into
Kills
that.
might
That's
seal it
that's a
off.
stain sealer, kills,
Just a stain sealer?
as far as I know.
Okay.
Well,
And
we need a,
like
you need a professional certified opinion on this,
Yeah, and
not just anecdotal.
right. And I think that's important is to understand what the DEQ requirements are, because there's different levels of lead paint. I forget the terminology for it, but and I don't know how all that works, and I don't know from a commercial standpoint, would they have to shut down the businesses to do this? I just don't know the answer.
I mean, they still need some certified person that's going to sign off on
That's
a
correct.
method.
That's correct.
And he's got to go find that. That's not our job, that's his job.
Correct. Yeah.
And I mean,
Well, he did bring Kevin, though. He'd done his homework. But I don't know, had he talked to four other people
Kevin's a
and gone with
masonry
Kevin?
guy. Kevin's a mason. He's a mason. So
Okay.
all he would be interested in doing is
Okay.
something here.
I guess I missed
He's
that.
not-
I
he's
didn't
not
know
a-
that.
He's not a painter.
Painter, okay.
He's not certified to to
Okay.
mediate asbestos.
So here, my thought on this, I'm whether they put thin brick or stucco, the process is attaching a mesh or some kind of something to hold the thin set mortar on before they put the brick on, which is nailing it into the joints of the brick of the mortar. In my opinion, that's going to do more damage to the facade. Even if there is an opportunity for them at some point to pull it off, you're still pulling off mortar,
The original,
a screen and screen nailed to the facade. With that height, there's going to be a whole lot of anchors to the existing facade to keep that thin brick or from moving.
I went through that with a fireplace in my house. They put that screen on a brick fireplace and then put the phony river rock all over the fireplace, and I took that all off, and that was a pain.
It's really, I've had this.
Try to match the mortar.
It's almost a philosophical question, but
Well, it goes back to what our job is here.
it's does a veneer ever work? No. I used to have this conversation with somebody.
What I hear is that we're against it, so I'll make a motion that we not approve either option 1 or 2 of the email that Jeff sent us, and we need more information from him.
We just need more.
He needs to do more research and come back.
Recommend a third option, like ceiling and.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't want to recommend a third option, but I think he needs to do more research and find out what his options are before we approve anything. That's my motion.
Yeah.
So
I'll second.
So motion's been made to deny the request. Let me just make sure I'm saying this correctly. So motion's been made to deny the request for stripping and painting the front facade on Main, and then adding a brick veneer on the calendar side.
We would. Can
Or
I amend
or-
that?
or
We
stucco.
would approve stripping and painting the front facade,
Okay.
right? Well, the issue becomes what happens on the side.
Right. So we're not seconding Jack's motion.
I could
which is
amend the
denying.
motion, couldn't I?
Does Jack need to amend? So Jack can amend the motion if you want to approve stripping.
The only question that I would offer is, do we want to do part of the building? Or does that matter?
And it's sad because the calendar side is the one that needs the attention. It's got all the weather,
My original motion was to deny his 2 options that he gave us.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion's been made to deny both options that were presented.
And Tom seconded it, I thought.
Right, and
Yeah.
really what that motion was it really did have to do with calendar. Let's pass that one, I'll make another motion.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second? Motion.
I already did that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of
Aye.
denying
Aye.
the motion say aye.
Yeah.
Aye. All those opposed the same? Okay, motion passes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve stripping and repainting the front, if that's all that happens.
As presented in the, okay?
I mean, that would, even doing that would improve it. And then, I mean, if you don't do the side, you're no worse off, but I think he's separating them. I think we should too.
It's too bad we're not there, Tom, though, because I maintain that east side is fine. It looks good. The Main Street side is not the one that needs attention.
If he wants to do it, we shouldn't stand in his way.
If he just wants to do that one wall,
Right.
that side.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than.
Okay,
what-
I can see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't. I mean, it may end up that nothing happens, and that, I mean, isn't horrible. I mean,
So
we've got some peeling paint on calendar, but it's, you know, and he's also talking about, you know, the way he was talking about like redoing some of that stonework, I thought was really questionable.
The limestone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he was talking, yeah, on the Calendar Street side, there's a stone piece on top of a brick arch. And he was talking about sort of taking it down. But that was like that really nice rusticated stone that whole thing is made out of. And unless you can duplicate that, it's almost better to let it go.
right.
And that limestone arch is in worse shape than the whole building.
Well,
if you
some of
looked
those
at how
capitals are really
so worn out.
Because limestone's really soft.
Yeah, yeah,
And it just erodes away.
yeah.
You know, unless you could find somebody, experts, I know one that's in Scotland, but
Yeah,
I know somebody who could do that,
yeah,
but he's not coming here.
yeah.
Yeah,
Tough
so,
deal.
I don't, are we able to create, to make a motion for if we denied both of their requests, or you know, both options? I know what you're saying, and I agree with you, but
Well, he's going to be back, at least at our next meeting.
so is this more of a, we denied these two options and then
I think,
and have a
I
conversation?
think if that's all we tell them, he'll come back with something else or an argument against that motion.
Right, right.
And that's certainly.
And he can listen to our conversation that we just had and know
Yeah.
that we're in favor of the front facade being stripped and you know, of the lead paint.
Actually, that doesn't really need it.
Yeah, but if he wants to improve it, that's kind of up to him.
Yeah.
I mean, we should stand.
If he wants to propose that, we'll
Right.
Right.
take it up.
I
Yeah.
just think it's clearer that one of the things that he proposes acceptable and the other two aren't. The two things that are not acceptable are a veneer or stucco on calendar. What is acceptable is if he wants to redo the facade, more power to him.
Well, you don't want a veneer on Main Street, though.
No, we're not. His proposal is that he strips and repaints Main Street, isn't it?
Well, like I said, I'm sure he wants to come
Right.
back.
What is
And
it?
if that's his final offer.
Painted the
we'll
front
listen to
face
it.
on Main, which would reduce the amount of time.
I guess what I'd like to know, sorry Jack, I don't mean I know you're.
But still allow us to use the facade on calendar.
What I heard, just tell me if I'm wrong, because the way I read that is he was talking about stripping and restoring with paint the front on Main, and then he had two options on calendar, which were stucco or veneer.
I think the way to read that, at least the way I read it, is paint Main, veneer calendar, or stucco the entire building.
That's how I understood it.
But he doesn't say use the veneer on calendar. Would the
And he
committee
doesn't
consider
use
a
that
proposal
specific-
where we stripped and painted the front face on Main, which would decrease the amount of closure time for our tenants, but still allow us to use the facade? Is that what he's talking about, the
I
brick
think
facade?
that's what he means, is
Okay.
the veneer.
Yeah,
Okay.
strip and repaint the
I-
calendar side. But I don't think we present that to him. I think he should
No.
probably present that to us.
Come back and say,
So
Yeah.
this is
right.
what I want to do, and maybe it's just Main.
And just say that, you know, we're still looking for an answer. We're
Right.
sympathetic, but we don't want to.
Right. But now, for the record, if the DEQ, if there's an encapsulant, you know, some type of material that can encapsulate the lead paint where it doesn't have to be stripped and repainted, I
Oh,
think
that's number one.
I think that's
Well,
an
but
option, but we can't.
I
He
mean,
needs to tell us.
as I remember, what I think he did is he went to one place in Bozeman and they said you've got to sandblast, or not sandblast, just
Somehow strip it down.
strip it down. So you have to remove that lead paint before you paint anything. And they proposed one method. He went to one person and said that that was the only person that he could go to, which I don't think is true.
Yeah, that I don't know.
I have a hard time believing that you can't encapsulate.
I think that is an option that I believe the Park Service is an option, and then but I don't know if how DEQ looks at a building of that size, commercial building.
Regardless, he's got to find somebody who's
Can give us these answers.
well, is certified to certify the job.
We're not going to do anything to certify if you encapsulate it. You don't disturb it.
Would seem that way to me. I mean, it seems like you could either seal off the inside of the building so it could be occupied during removal, or you could, it seems like there's other options out there.
Seal the inside from the outside.
I kind of think I think he emotionally wanted to get a brick building, and he was kind of pushing for that because he thought it was going to be better than it was. I don't think he really visualized the problems with it.
Right.
Whereas, we face this stuff, and you sort of, God's in the details, and this is certainly a case of that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready to move on.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Yep. All right. Let's move on. Next order of business. So there's no more design review. We'll move into new business. Is there any new business?
Wolf's Mercantile sign.
So that's old business. So if there's no new business, we'll move into old business. From the July meeting, a discussion regarding the new Wolf's Mercantile sign and the fact that it did not appear to be the design we approved at our November 9th meeting, may not be in compliance with the sign code. Jamie, you're going to look into that, or is that?
Yes, they will be invited to the next meeting.
Okay.
Was a permit issued on that sign?
What's that?
Permit issued on that sign? Is it required?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay.
We did approve something, though.
We came in and he approved a hanging sign.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that one.
No. Well, it was that, but it wasn't the mounting.
I mean, there's a record of what we approved.
Yeah.
Let me just bring that along.
So what do you do? Are there any repercussions when they present something and then do something different?
We're going to find out.
Oh, Jim, I mean, you don't know. There's
Doesn't
no
happen
fine
very often.
attached. Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
They're kind of a sneaky. Originally, they just kind of did it without telling anybody, and everybody up and down the street hated it. It just.
The sign? I thought the awning was the issue.
Just the
Yes,
whole
thank you.
thing. It was the awning and this kind. And it was kind of an ugly, cheap building to begin with. I mean, that thing had been stuccoed over, and But in either case, they were looking at the facade improvement and with the sign. So we need to see what was approved, and then.
I feel bad because I think it's such an improvement. It doesn't look like a circus or ice cream parlor atmosphere with the awning down. I was really pleased and relieved. I thought now it looks more like the rest of the street. Or block, I mean. Yeah.
I think they're always, I think they just kind of do that. They just push it a little bit. But everybody shouldn't be able to do a sign like that. The sport, there's one on the sport, and that's grandfathered. It's been there since time began.
And I think the sign they put up is awesome, and to me it looks more historic.
The sign they put up was what we approved, but we did not approve the post down to the...
Or the post, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
And I doubt if it was that big.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a projecting sign. I'll bet it didn't go all the way across the sidewalk.
Right.
No, I just want to say,
look
we should just be looking at what was approved and what was built, and we've got to resolve the two.
All right. Next item, Commissioner Luther asked for guidance and help with the search on the replacement for Jesse Nile.
I've reached out to everybody on that list of consultants that we got from SHPO. And plus the people that Bozeman use to update their buildings. I got a reply from them in Bozeman, and their prices were something that we couldn't afford, I didn't think so. And I haven't gotten any positive reply from anybody. My question is, am I tilting at windmills? Should I give up on this project and just say to hell with it? And,
You certainly put in the effort.
well, I did, but, you know, and I hate to see it go by the wayside because, you know, Jesse had a hell of a plan, I thought. But,
Approximately what percentage did she get done?
oh, I think 15 buildings out of 115 or something.
Yeah, she put in a lot of work and
Oh,
a
she
lot,
did.
lot more
And we had
detail
her,
than we
and we had her to some of our meetings and said, hey, you're doing excessive work. We don't care about the genealogy of Joe Smith who ran a saloon there in 1908, you know, which she was doing, but she continued to do that. And the Genealogy Society loves it, and Chippewa loved it, but, you know, I think it just drug her down into a rabbit hole there. And, okay.
Well, if we can we if we can't find somebody, do we lose any kind of funding, or that we were just
didn't have any
dedicated?
special funding for that. We were spending our grant funds that we get anyway.
Okay, but if we in those grant, we have to spend those grant funds each year before they're renewed, or because
Historically, when we don't, well, historically, we have not had a contractor doing a project, and that money just actually goes to offset staff time
Oh, okay.
if we don't spend it on something
Okay,
else.
so
Yeah.
So it's going to get spent.
it's going to get spent. It's not,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
and
us.
we're talking $5,000, well, $6,000 a year now.
That's not a lot.
Is that what it is? Okay.
It's not a lot of
Because
money.
I had one guy that said he might be available in October, so we're looking at $5,000 or $6,000. So I'll see what he says. And another suggestion was contacting the architectural college at MSU or something.
see if there's anyone interested in historic
And
preservation.
you said at one time you said you thought you had some contacts. over there.
I do, but I didn't ask them about it. So
Well,
I'll talk to
I thought maybe there'd be some graduate students over there that would be interested in making some money, and
all right.
you know.
Yep.
I don't think it's hard. It's time consuming, but you know the
It's
problem is how do
research.
I don't have enough knowledge to identify the building as Gothic or whatever, you know, like she did, and I think that's important. I've got a flash drive of all of her research, so there's a lot of that that's been done already.
Okay, I will call my contact.
Good.
He's a professor over there, and he's actually done a lot of historic preservation work in Indiana.
Good.
And so he may be able to do that.
Sure.
I forgot to make that
Okay.
call though.
Great.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Yep. So I'll jump on that, and then maybe we just revisit it next month and see if anything kind
Okay.
of pops up. But Jackie, I don't know how much if you really need to keep.
It's a long-term project.
Maybe somebody will come along.
$5,000 a year for the rest of your life.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No action on the sign code revisions.
Yeah, you know, and they canceled their meeting last month, and there's no agenda. Why isn't that sign code getting on the agenda? We gave it to them in May, after spending, 3 or 4 months with
Yeah.
Matthew revising it and everything. You're involved with that zoning commission, aren't you, Jim? Can you get it on the agenda for the next meeting or something? I'm assuming they canceled last month's or August meeting because they didn't have anything to do. But this is something that I'd like to see fast.
And that's the it's a zoning commission deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they recommend a commission. Yeah, okay. No, it is. I think we improved the sign code. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh, we did. Sure.
Yeah.
I haven't.
It was a
looked
pretty.
at
It was a
closely,
pretty. It
but
was.
I
It
have
was a
seen
pretty
it.
old. The sign code itself was kind of an historic document.
Oh, definitely, sure.
Be careful what you call historic.
I
I
understand.
rewrote it in '93.
When you were 12 years old?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. Next item, Commissioner Gibson mentioned 2 signs located at the Hyde House and Tom's Jewelry that appear to be in need of repair and are thus out of compliance with the sign code, with section C3 and C8 of the sign code apply.
What were those businesses?
C3
Tom's
says,
Jewelers on Lewis.
he's missing some letters on that sign, and the Hyatt House is
4
just-
letters, and the Hyatt House needs painted really bad.
Hyatt House kind of looks like what it is.
See,
Looks like what?
the sign code, section C, number 3 says, all signs as permitted by this section shall be maintained by the owner and kept in good repair and shall be painted and repaired at reasonable intervals. The surface of ground under and about each sign shall be kept clear of weeds, rubbish, and flammable waste material. And 8 says the building official shall be responsible for the enforcement of the sign ordinance. So I'm assuming that you're the building official.
Correct.
So what do we need to do to have you go talk to those folks and say,
They will be invited to the next meeting as well.
okay.
Yeah, we need to nudge Scott. I said I would paint it for free if he would. I said, just rent a cherry picker. Scott, I will
That's Scott
paint it for
DePue, isn't it?
free. Pardon?
That's Scott DePue.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that monkey's thinking. It just looks awful.
Well, he's got a need of a paint job himself.
Well, I think it kind of reflects his business. It's not doing that well, and he's kind of down in the dumps about it. But yeah, that just.
Well, the building owner,
Jim is the building owner his dad? Does David Depew own that, or do you have any idea?
So,
Okay, not Sullivan.
No, that's a Depew building, I'm pretty sure.
yeah. it's
Okay, because the Miles block, I don't know
Dave
how
DePue,
much.
Dave DePue owns that
Okay,
that corner, yeah.
I've wondered.
How old is Dave Depew?
Pardon?
No,
How old is he? Probably 87.
Who?
he's
Dave?
up there.
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, he's got pancreatic cancer, he's not in good shape.
Oh, poo.
Yeah. He was just got out of the hospital.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Anyway.
Okay. Next item, Commissioner Luther asked that the August agenda include election of a vice chair, the position being now vacant. So probably push that.
I nominate Jack.
Can we make a motion in this meeting without it being an agenda item?
no, really.
Or technically.
Okay.
Everybody shut your eyes and let's just do it.
Have to wait till next meeting. Okay.
We really do.
Well, with you not being here, and we had a meeting, who runs the meeting?
Right,
That was the problem.
That's right, and Bob
Bob
was on
Evinger
vice.
was the vice chair.
And we can't do it today. Why?
Because it's not on the agenda, unless it's on that agenda.
Oh, okay.
It's.
Oh,
It's,
Can't do it, what?
It's got to be on the agenda.
Yeah, so.
okay.
I had looked up.
This is the agenda for this
Is
meeting.
it on there too?
Yeah.
Let me see the agenda.
That was on the.
I said the August agenda, but,
Well, this is.
I won't
August.
tell anybody if you don't, but it should be listed under new business, appoint vice chair.
I think doesn't it
well,
say?
except it was discussed in our last Tuesday's meeting to be put on this agenda.
Was this separately noticed? I guess it was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, this is separate.
I'm not too concerned about the controversial nature
I don't
of appointing
think,
the vice chair.
I don't think you're gonna get a.
I think it does. I think it does say it right there.
You're not gonna get picket signs outside. Okay, so.
I don't care, whatever, I can
No,
wait.
I'm fine with it, Jack. I think your intention was that it would be discussed here.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Even though this is a special meeting, we can go
Well,
ahead
that's
and do
fine.
it.
was-
Yeah,
I
good.
mean, it was
Good.
If it was noticed, it was noticed. So I nominate Jack to the
I
vice.
second the nomination.
Be careful when you.
Well, the problem is I'm out of town for 4 or 5 months in the wintertime. So if I'm out of town and I don't have a phone connection or something and Ron's not here, then we're in the same position. I mean, I don't care, I can do it. I normally attend the meetings by.
Do we have other officers?
I don't want it.
You know,
Well, you can't.
And what's her name's not here.
You're chair.
You could nominate her for that reason.
Yeah.
If you'll come to the meeting as a new secretary, right?
Jim, you're a true friend.
Well, I mean,
Go after the new kid on the block.
I don't mind doing it, but
Yeah.
that's kind of a problem, maybe. So far it hasn't been.
But if the substitute chair's out, someone picks up the ball for
If you
those
get two
4
missing,
meetings.
chances are you won't have a meeting because if you
You
don't
won't
have the
have-
other 3, there's no quorum.
right.
Okay,
Well, are you comfortable doing that email?
Yeah.
And then- Okay.
Sure, I don't-
good.
Well, let's just roll with that, and then, so motion's been made to nominate Jack
call
Luther.
the question.
Is there a second?
No, Lindy
Oh,
said.
Lindy's already seconded.
I
Yeah.
thought I made the motion.
No, I made the motion, you
Oh,
seconded.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
motion's been
Okay,
made.
I'll
and-
second it.
And seconded. Any further
Jeez, what
discussion?
have I been smoking? I thought I made the notion.
Okay, all those in favor of Commissioner Luther as the vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
All
I'm
those
gonna
opposed,
recruit myself.
all those opposed, the same. Motion passes.
Character reference.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. Of course, my pay will increase.
Substantially.
Yeah, your pay will
Substantially.
double,
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe more.
okay.
Infinitely
Good,
more
good,
pay
good.
than you get now.
Okay, next item, it says, Mr. Woodhull stated he did not believe that Commissioner Nemitz had attended the city commission meeting to present the yearly report, and that's correct. After I think it was the May meeting, Faith had sent an email saying that they were just postponing the presentation indefinitely, so I don't know.
Because it was never put on the agenda.
It was never put back on the agenda.
Okay.
So if she asks, I'll do it if we need to.
Sounds good.
But we'll probably already be putting together a presentation for next year, or for the 2022, right? Yeah. Okay.
So the next meeting, could have a lively little meeting. We're gonna have Jeff, we're gonna have Wolf's Mercantile, and we might have the Hyatt House and Tom's Jewelers.
Right.
That would be good to get that much accomplished in one meeting. I would
Well,
love
I
to
mean,
see it.
We're telling them we're gonna bust them if they, come and defend yourself. You know,
Okay.
that could
Put the
make
fear of
sense.
God in downtown
The only
merchants.
other thing I had on there was any applications for replacement for Matthew.
Got an interview Thursday.
Okay.
You did interview
I
that?
have this coming Thursday.
Oh, okay. Good,
All right.
good.
Gal out of Colorado.
All right.
It seems very interested and pretty well accomplished.
Good.
Coming from Colorado?
What has she done?
She's a planning division director in Boulder County,
Oh,
Working for the city or the county?
or the county. But their county operations are exponentially larger than our city operations.
Oh, God, that's a big place.
It'll get, I would
Yeah.
think.
That's a big place down there.
Oh, nice.
I have one addition. Our March minutes, Tom and I and Bob Elger were here for the March meeting. I wrote up the minutes, but we never approved them because we don't have a quorum with Bob gone. Is there?
Let me see what Robert's Rule of Order say about that.
Okay.
I'll get you a legal memo as to, I'm pretty sure a quorum of the people sitting can probably pass those,
I would think so.
but I'll make sure.
It's immaterial, but it's just, okay. Anything else?
Staff updates? There's no other old business, so next order of business is staff update.
I don't have anything prepared. Don't feel like this board is getting short shrift. All of them are. Going back to the zoning commission, staff's availability is driving their meeting schedule.
Mm.
I'm doing 5 or 6 6 site plan reviews for commercial and residential projects. I've got a subdivision in front of the planning board tomorrow that's taken 3 weeks of my time. We are doing all kinds of development right now. We're building a hotel. We just zoned 2 big parcels for development. We're doing housing development up on Montana Street very soon here. It's nuts, and the most poignant thing you asked about was Matthew's replacement.
Sure.
Because if they don't come, it's going to get slower around here.
Oh. How many hats can you wear?
Oh, the same number of hats, just a lot more going on underneath each one.
No, I would also say that you're concentrating on the right stuff.
Well, the development is happening now, and it's got to be dealt with.
Right. Yeah, the whole city is short-staffed in top positions.
Well, I guess not so top positions. I mean, there's problems all over. I mean, we've got technically full police department, but 2 of them are on military duty, and 2 of them are at the academy because they're new, and so the chief and the assistant chief are running shift.
Gosh.
But it's like that everywhere, and we've had a tough time getting seasonals over the summer. I mean, it's
Parks
just
Department,
a terrible hiring environment.
Yeah.
Well, and people have said that part of that is they can't afford to live here, or they can't find a place. That's been a stumbling block too.
Both of those are true.
Yeah, we're just at
Supply
a
and
real
cost.
quagmire.
And it would take more than anybody's willing to do to build ourselves out of it.
Jim, where's the hotel going to be?
Next to the last one,
Next to the last one.
Fairfield.
Oh, across. Is it going to be the Windmere?
I
Is
don't
it
know the
different?
name of it. It's a Marriott, I think.
Or pardon me, that's what I meant. It's the same mothership. Yeah, Marriott. Yeah, that'll be wonderful.
But they'll probably be wanting to break ground here in the next month.
Wonderful, wonderful. We need them.
We do?
Oh, we do. So that people can slow down with the VRBOs. We have 40 VRBOs in the city limits. And people like me have had to move so that our landlords can turn place.
I bet we got over 100 in the city limits.
Oh, there's 40 listed online.
Anyway,
I believe you,
Just
Jack.
for one website.
But I think a hotel would relieve some of that. That's just getting craziness.
Well, the city can restrict that sort of
They
thing.
can't. I went to the city council
That's
early
not true.
on.
That's
Well,
not
they
true.
they can.
denied it.
They can, but they don't.
They don't want to.
There are ways to do it.
There are ways to do it.
Because early on, before I was even evicted the first time, I says, we've got to stop this right now. And they said, well, you can't tell someone how to handle their
Yes, you
property.
can. You do it all the time.
Well, it's a-
Really?
Both-
Whether it's long-term or daily?
Bozeman does.
Well, that council at the time, that was my
No.
answer, that you can't tell people what to do. Well,
A
thank
zoning-
you, Tom.
A zoning code tells you what you can do with your property and what you can't do with your property.
Well, I mean, rental, but daily versus a month-to-month
Yeah.
person like me.
Yeah, that's true.
You make it a business.
Well, for heaven's sakes,
Which
where
is
were you when I
an
needed
administrative
you?
nightmare on the city's end.
Really? It broke my heart when I
No,
saw
No,
it
I mean,
happen.
nobody wants to deal with
Better
it,
to do anything to jump into that.
but that doesn't mean they can't. They
There
could.
is a lot of pressure serving on the council. Yeah.
Well,
Early on, I'm not kidding, 10 years ago I brought it up.
It was almost 10 years ago at the planning board, actually. We had a long discussion about it and voted that we do not wish to take action at this time.
Oh, darn it. Now, isn't somebody
Because
on
they
the
filled the room with people that are collecting money.
peer pressure? Well, and isn't the planning board present at all city commission meetings?
no,
There's not a representative from every entity at those?
not
Oh,
necessarily.
okay, I didn't know that. Because I just felt helpless before it even happened to me.
No,
Yeah,
it's politically difficult, but
peer pressure.
yeah.
Oh,
No, it's become, I mean, housing is, we just ran a poll and housing is 80% of the people think housing is the worst problem we've got.
I would agree, especially affordable housing for low-income families.
And the ratio drops when you talk about short-term rentals because some of those people are making money on short-term rentals.
Oh gosh, 5 times what they get from a monthly tenant.
Monthly isn't bad anymore either. If you had a 4-bedroom house, you could get $2,500 a month for it on a long-term basis.
Yep.
Which is ridiculous, but that's what the market is.
That's where it's going. That's where it's, yep.
Yeah,
Supply and demand.
growing pains.
Well,
I think-
yeah, there's no good solution. You can't build housing for cheaply enough to. So what do you think? What does their performance say for a 1-bedroom?
As far for what now?
On the ground.
Oh, I don't even, I wouldn't be at liberty to kind of talk about that right now. On the record.
With what you're spending on it, I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting to see what you can rent it for.
The intent is market rate, but like what Jim said, the market right now is high-end numbers, high-end cost, high-end cost. So
What the market will bear and what
What the local citizenry can bear.
Yeah, you can ask it, but are you going to get it? Are those
As
places
long as
just going to
people keep
sit?
coming here, you will.
Yeah, tough deal.
I was in the Fairfield, probably June, and the guy behind the desk was on the line, and he was making a reservation for somebody for $389 a night.
Yep. It's
How about $1,000 at Sage?
I know, and $400 for a steak.
What?
$400 for a steak.
Years ago.
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't
really
seen-
sad.
I haven't seen that,
It is on the menu. Mhm.
it's
but
crazy.
I saw it. And we went up there last week, and they had one $80 steak. It's a special. They're charging.
Yeah. So I think we've had our commission member comments. I just want to say something, Jim. I know you're busy, and we appreciate what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Know that we appreciate you.
You're still trying to get
wearing our hat as well.
Yeah, sometime between the end of the year and the rest of my life.
Which the more responsibility you take on, the sooner it will be. No, I shouldn't say.
No, that's a problem.
Stressful.
You didn't look at this all landing on you.
It was on me before it was a lot, but now it's a lot.
Well, it's everything's ramped up.
Yeah, 10 years ago,
There wasn't as much work.
there wasn't as much work, exactly.
You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
All right. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a
I second it.
And seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed the same. Meeting adjourned at, I don't even know what time, 4:41.